All right, welcome to the Indie Coach Podcast. Today, my big question for our guest, Steven, today is, Steven, filmmakers love to blame distributors, platforms, algorithms, and they even blame Hollywood. But I think you and I both know, being coaches and mentor for some, that some of that, and I would even say much of the responsibility really belongs to the filmmaker who made a movie without figuring out who actually wanted to see it first. So that's the big, hairy question. I'm going to pitch it over to you, Stephen, to answer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making a movie nowadays, and really at any time, but nowadays especially, if you're making a movie, if you're making anything, you have to identify who wants to see it. Hopefully, it's someone, but you want to identify who wants to see it. You want to identify demographics. You want to identify uh, what kind of person, what age of person, what gender person, all these things. You want to figure out the area of who that is, and you want to know where it's going to sell. And are you streaming? Are you film festival? Are you self distribution? What you have to figure this out. To me, to be honest, when you're done with the script, I think you have to start that process as soon as you finish the script. I think if you're going into trying to talk to investors, if you're trying to talk to actors, if you're in the process of even shooting your movie and you have no idea where it's going to go or the direction of where it's going to go, I think you're doing yourself a massive disservice, especially nowadays. I have a friend who always says like, you look both ways before you cross the street. So you don't just walk out into the street blindly. You look both ways. So yeah, the road is tough. Like no matter what, even if you do have a plan, the road is tough. Like it's not easy out here. Algorithms are weird. They change every 2 seconds. Hollywood has always been weird. It's always been difficult in Hollywood. So the street, there's a lot of traffic and there's a lot of zipping cars, so to speak, metaphorically. But that's why you look both ways before you go street. That's why you prepare before you go out and cross the street. So
Yeah,
yeah, if you're putting percentages on it, 90% the filmmaker, like get yourself together before you go out there.
I like it. So, Stephen, you've been making films now, I believe, for over a decade. What did younger Stephen believe about succeeding as a filmmaker that Stephen today knows was completely wrong?
Oh, great question. When I was younger, it was all about like how many Oscars am I gonna win? You know, like it was like it might be one for this one, but next one I do it. It was just like complete and total. I want to say delusion because like anything's possible, but delusion at that point. Like I was just like I'm gonna win all the stuff, and now I could not care any less about an Oscar or anything like that. Like my whole thing right now is how can I make great stuff that I want to make, and how can I help people in the process? Like
Yeah.
100%. And of course, financially benefit off of all these things. But yeah, and nowadays too, especially that Hollywood is like being weird and being it's changing so much. It's changed so drastically, and social media is kind of like taking it over in a way. Um, Oscars, you know. So yeah, younger Steven would be very surprised at older Steven right now.
Yeah. So I found you on TikTok personally. I know you're on Instagram too. I'm sure some other platforms. I just love the content you're putting out. You're putting out these little bite-sized chunks, and you have a little kind of shtick that you do, at least for some of the videos that I've seen, where you're like, hey, if you thought this that someone said, they're lying to you. It's actually, here's kind of the truth. And
Yeah.
I love it because it makes you lean in because you're giving it really from a grounded level. And it just really pulled me in. So I applaud you for that. And like I said, I've been consuming your content now for a good bit. So I'm glad you're on the podcast. So recently on one of those videos, you made the statement that quality films are dying in distribution, not necessarily that they're bad films, but because the system decided what gets seen is actually broken. Can you elaborate on the broken piece? What is actually broken in the process, of filmmaking, generally in post or beyond?
Oh, I, to be honest, I think there's so many things that's broken. but I would say there's such a there's so many middlemen, and there's so many gatekeepers, and there's so many no's, unnecessary no's, where talented people and talented movies and really good movies and they just don't get seen. I know talented filmmakers. Like friends of mine are so gifted, and I'm just like, you should be like huge right now. You should be a superstar right now. So no, I've been in situations where I can't get a movie financed because someone says, who are you? And it's like, I'll show you all the stuff that I've done. And this actor who is bankable and like legitimately bankable wants to be in my movie. What's the problem? And this actor trusts me. This actor is bankable, wants to be in my movie. What's the problem? And it's like, wait, but who are you? And it's kind of like the core issue is there's a lot of followers in Hollywood, and there's not a lot of proactive people who are willing to buck trends. They're going to follow the trend. And now we have, which is great, obsession taking off with YouTube and back rooms and all these things is happening right now. So Hollywood's going to just like they're going to go so far with it. They're going to go super
Yeah.
far with it because they're going to follow the trend and they're just going to like follow their nose. And it's fine. It's great. It is what it is. But it's just another example of Hollywood doing the thing that it does, where it's going to follow a trend instead of create something new. And we're in a stage right now where we're all creating something new. And I just think it's just that's the core reason, the core fault of it all. It's just Hollywood is follows instead of leads. And there's so much young talent, undiscovered talent, old talent, people who are 50s, 60s who's never got to get their feature done, stuff like that. And it's just unfortunate to see. But uh yeah, I don't know if they answered your question, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, you definitely did. It's not easy out there, and I would agree with that. I think there's a lot of followers, not a lot of, the kind of tip of the spear people. That's where us indies shine, though. As you kind of pointed out, I mean, the box office these past several weeks have been pretty pro indie right now. And you're right, I think, and we're already seeing it. The studios are going to come in and try to scoop up these YouTubers, and YouTube, Netflix specifically is already throwing money. And then YouTube came in and is throwing money to keep them there. So you're seeing this financial struggle between these two power juggernauts of Netflix and YouTube, and who benefits are those YouTubers.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so good on them. I wish I had this huge following. So on that note, can you explain social distribution? So I spent $100,000 making my movie. What happens next? What is social distribution?
So social distribution is a mechanism we've built for JusB, the distribution platform I've built. And what it is encouraging people and putting money behind the actual marketing is a soft word, but it's the audience building of your film. So, for instance, you have $100,000 in production for a feature film. We would suggest take 10, take 15, take 20,000 of that 100,000, or maybe you raise another 10, 15, $20,000, whatever it may be, and you create content from the time you get a green light. And from the time you get a green light and someone gives it, okay, cool. We are going to create, whether it be the director getting on camera, whether it be you create a podcast, whether it be you create reels and skits around your feature. I have a friend of mine who's doing that exact thing right now. And you do that for several months. You do that for a year, whatever it may be, however long it takes to build some kind of audience so that by the time you are ready to release your movie, you're releasing it to a ready-made audience. You're releasing it to people who already want to see what you have. It's basically a model that is the miniature version of Backrooms and Obsession. It's the miniature version of that, to where they took years. They built years of following of 10 years, whatever it was. The kid who did Backrooms. This is like take a year, take 6 months, and build out your audience so that your $100,000 film, your $50,000 film has an audience ready to go. Because, okay, cool. I watched your skits. I saw the podcast. I saw the interviews with your whole cast and crew. I did all the educational videos that your DP made about lighting and things like that. I am totally enamored into everything that is about the crew and the cast of this movie. Where is it? I want to see
Yeah.
it. They're hungry for it. So social distribution is basically creating that campaign for your project. And what JusB is, how we make sure that sort of duplicates, is that every audience member can share your project for a profit. So they can get 30% off of each sale that they make from your project. So each project on JusB is pay-per-view. You set your price, and audience members can go on there and share any movie, but especially your movie, for 30% of each sale. So if they share a link or QR code with whomever, they can get 30% back. So this works well for films that, again, have built-in audience, documentary films that have, a rights group or a certain cultural edge. Those cultural groups can then share the film to their email list. Things like that. If you make a horror film, horror fans who are in horror groups, they can share it with amongst each other. And then what's happening is you have people in circles sharing with each other and building their own income and building their own distribution. So people become the distribution as opposed to putting in the hands of distributors and these big streamers.
Yeah, and you're literally monetizing and motivating them to push it around. So if someone came to you, I'm assuming, and said, "Hey, I only have 800 people. Should I still do it?" I imagine it would be yes, because you're magnifying and you're motivating them. It isn't just about likes and clicks. It's not YouTube sharing for an algorithm boost. You're actually financially benefiting. Now, what goes back to the filmmaker? Let's say I do decide, hey, I got a film, I'm going to put it on JusB. I start to promote it. They get 30%. What does, kind of the split between the platform and the filmmaker, if you can talk to that a little bit, perhaps?
So the filmmaker gets paid three different ways on JusB. 80-20 split, which is a common split for streamers. 80-20 split is someone comes onto JusB and just sees the film. Oh, this looks cool. Let me purchase it. Just like any other streamer, 80-20 split. If the filmmaker themselves or anyone the filmmaker who owns the project sends out a link or a QR code, 80-20. Same 80-20. When it becomes someone else distributing their project, the share gets 30%, filmmaker gets 50%, platform gets 20%. So the platform stays at 20. Platform never gets more than 20. So you have a filmmaker who's making 50% on a thing that they didn't even have anything to do with. So someone else is sharing their project, and it could be double, triple, quadrupled, and they're making 50% off of each one of those sales. They're basically making money off of word of mouth. And we've never had that in the film industry before. We're monetizing word of mouth.
Yeah, I like it, man. Super cool. How long have you been doing this? How long has JusB been going?
So October of 2024 is when I put myself in my basement office and I said, I was so frustrated, and I was just like, I'm going to figure this out. I got to figure this out. I can't do it. This is frustrating. I had sold the script to Tyler Perry Studios, and that month, I believe, I got word that just didn't feel like it was coming out, or it was just, the movie was just taking too long to come out. Still hasn't come out. I think it might, but still might. I'm just not sure. So October 2024, I said, I got to figure this out. I'm going to build something. And I kept on waking up. Like, I just would wake up in the morning with this like feeling that something has to be done. And I'm going to come up with the idea. So there's different iterations of it over the next 6 months. But it came down to this, and this is what it is. And we're going with this. So it's still building, and we're still creating things to the platform and adding films and all these things. But October 2024 is when the seed of the idea was birthed.
That's awesome, man. I love the idea. It's pretty ingenious. I mean, what's cool is that guys like us can be entrepreneurial that way. We're not just filmmakers. We can actually, with the advent of tech, start to solve real problems that's been in the industry, and we've always had to play victim to it and be like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. But you did something. You stepped up and was like, okay, well, I got something.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you see filmmakers make when they finally start thinking about monetization? You know, we all love a good idea. We get psyched about our idea and our story. We know story is king, but what's the biggest mistake filmmakers make when they finally start thinking about, shoot, I need to make money so I can do this again on?
Ooh, that's a good one. You mean like if they're trying to make money off their films?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, oh, you know that actually a good one, and this is just the first thing that came to my mind is putting their trust in the wrong people.
Hmm.
Because I think when you start to say, "Hey, I got to make money doing this," you start to say, "All right, let me reach out to people who've done it before. Reach out to people who have made money doing this before," and that's a logical thing to do. But you can put your trust in those
Hmm.
people way too much,
Hmm.
and you can follow them like a puppet and spend years and years following these people who may or may not have good intentions or may just be more self-centered and just using you as sort of a horse to ride because you're talented. Um, and you can waste a lot of time going the wrong direction. So I think it's important to trust your instincts a little bit, um, get third party opinions about the people you are trying to entrust your projects with, entrust your ideas with, and and um, and really ask all the questions. Don't just trust. And there's many times where I just wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
Like it's my project and I'm not in the room. Shouldn't I be pitching? Like that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
So it's important for filmmakers to trust their instincts, to be diligent and do research before you again trust anyone, because I don't want to be the negative Nancy or anything like that. That's not my vibe. But there's a lot of people in this industry who are just don't have the right way of being. So
Yeah.
you gotta um, have confidence in what you have and go forward with that confidence and trust in yourself.
Yeah. No, I can concur. I think, Stephen, the filmmaking is one of the most unique things that I've seen where people will pretend to have money and dangle that in front of people like us for their own ego. Like, that's the only thing I can understand of why they would do something like this. They would pretend like they have money. When I really start to do diligence, it's like, holy cow, they don't have any money. You know, it's bad, Stephen, when you're in a meeting, by the end of the meeting, they're pitching you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, wait a
yeah.
minute, I thought you had the money. And they're like, no, no, no. Well, I've got this project, can you introduce me to Nick Cage? And can you, it's like, what are you talking about? I'm here for you, asking
Yeah.
money from
I've been in
you.
situations where you're talking to somebody and yeah, you're trying to pitch to them, and then
Yeah.
you say something
Yeah.
that sort of sparks to them, oh, you're at a different level than I
Right.
thought you were.
That's right.
Then again, then like you said, they start pitching you, and you're like, wait a minute, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Who are any of us?
Yeah. It's super weird. And it's the money thing. And they literally don't have any. And yet they're coming off as though they have it, and they know we're going to get excited. Like, they know that's the thing that triggers. And the only thing I can think of is ego.
Yeah,
So I want to be a little future pacing, even though I recognize film technology is so confusing. There's no way anybody can predict beyond 12 months. There's no way. You just can't. But we're kind of in it. You and I, we're coaches, we're mentors. What part of the traditional film business do you think is going to look radically different in, let's say, 2 to 5 years? So take the traditional film business. What's going to get rocked the most in the next 2 to 5?
that's a great question. Um, I think two things. I think the theater is going to be dramatically different. I'm not sure how, but my theory is that we're going to get a lot more experiential
Yeah, that's neat.
films, and
Yeah,
theaters will become closer to amusement parks or arcades in some kind of way, um, where maybe 4D comes into play or those sort of things. I can see theater dabbling with that sort of thing. And also, I think streaming is going to change. I think I think these streamers are now seeing it, and like you said before, Netflix is and YouTube is trying to create things where social media is starting to take over Hollywood. It's it's funny because Hollywood always looked at social media as like not a thing, and looked
yeah,
at social media as like the little stupid little brother that's just like, oh, these little influencers are not that talented, and these content creators, what are they doing? I just made a video the other day, I think I posted it today, where it's just like these content creators are really good,
yeah,
and some of them are just as good or even better than your Hollywood
yeah,
stars.
yeah,
So um, I do think streaming is going to change. I think Netflix, their business model is going to be a little bit different when it comes to adding on sports and live TV, because like everyone's subscribed. Do you how they have to make money in different ways.
yeah,
Um, so I do think it's going to change drastically. Streaming that I don't know how. I just think
yeah,
streamers are going to try to take over every element of your entertainment life.
yeah.
Like each one, Netflix, YouTube, they're gonna be like, how can I
Yes,
take over everything that you believe to be fun to do?
right. And monetize it for
And-
you. And and they're definitely going to try to continue to tell great stories. We all know that if you fail in that, you've lost them. I mean, talk about the sleeping giant. I mean, that's what Netflix was. And I don't even think Netflix knew they would become that. You
right.
know, they were sleeping there and everyone thought, oh, they're the little brother. But then boom. And now you're right. I think you're calling it spot on. Social media is like, because YouTube's, it's almost like you can't even call that. So it's like its own category. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
know what to call it.
Yeah.
YouTube is, when you look at the numbers and the financials of YouTube, your jaw will drop. It is
Yeah.
whatever you think it is, it's 10x more than what
Yeah.
you think it is, from
Yeah.
reach to monetization. I mean, it's crushing everybody by like tenfold. They are the big hairy monster. Now you do have other things like Apple that has other elements of financial revenue, but the numbers of YouTube is crazy. So if somebody's listening right now and they're talking about making their movie for 5 to 10 years, they've been on and on and on about talking about making it. What's the thing that they need to stop doing? And what's the thing they need to do right now in order to try to advance something? So they keep talking about it, putting it off. Another years goes by. And I'm speaking from confession time, because every year in January, I'm like, I'm rolling cameras come hell or high water. This year, I'm rolling cameras, and a year will slip by, and a year will slip by. So, people like that, Stephen, what do you got for us?
Um, I think this goes into like kind of anything. It's where identify where you are truthfully. And sometimes we can get a little delusional about where we are. And I'm again, me also confession time. You believe you're more further along than you are.
Mm,
And I think once you recognize, okay, I'm really here. This is where I really am. Okay, what's the next step? And focus on just whatever the next step is. Identify what that next step is, whether it be, okay, let me reach out to anyone who I think may know an investor. Let me reach out to someone who can read my script and get my script vetted. Let me reach out to education to figure out how to make whatever it may be. Just find out what your very next best step is and focus purely on that. I think I think it's good to say out loud what you're doing, especially content creation is big on that. Like say out loud what you're doing so that you can bring people in on the process. Um, but even more important than that is identifying the next step and make that step. Like do it. Like do it. Freaking do it. And then once you get to that next step, identify the next step and freaking do it. Like whatever it takes. Like I have 3 kids. I just moved to New York. I like my time is like this. Like content creation for me, I'm like trying to find little bits and pieces
right,
of time to,
right.
to shoot a video, then edit a video 3 o'clock in the morning. Like it's you got to find the time to do whatever you got to do. You know what I mean? I have a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old. Like,
Awesome, man. Cool.
I'm very blessed. I'm super happy, but the time is minimal. So
About gone. Yeah.
it's basically gone. So I'm squeezing in time. So when I hear someone who, you know, 25 doesn't have kids, they just I'm just like, what do you
Yeah.
get to work?
Yeah.
Like I end my videos, get to work.
Yeah.
Like, identify the next step and freaking go. And don't go too far. Because I think what, and again, confession time, we set these big goals and we should, but then we make that big goal the next step. And that's not the next step at all. And then that big goal, that next step becomes so big that it overtakes our reality. And then we slowly disappear. And then we, you know, get into our lower self, and then we lose any traction possible or that we could have. So I think taking that very next step is the way to go.
I love it, man. Where can people follow you, connect with you, reach out? What's the best way to kind of drive people? And then what are you working on next? What's around the corner?
So you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram at just Stephen B, JU Stephen B, both for TikTok and Instagram. And check out my platform, justb.io, jusb.io. Go on the site, check out some of the films we have, purchase some of the films, share some of the films, just play with the platform, see how it works, get familiar with it. We have Real Bucks, which is like a digital wallet, so you can fill up your Real Bucks and then use it. We have everything's automatic payouts, so you can just take the money out whenever you want, whatever it may be. So just play with the site as much as you possibly can. Spread the word about it. Submit films to it. We definitely have a very specific curation, which I'm actually going to put out a video tomorrow about how we curate films. But what I'm working on next is I'm making my feature film Happy Sabbath, and it's going to be a co-production with JusB. So using JusB, I want to produce this film and at $500,000 production, 650 total, so 150,000 for social distribution. And we're looking for investors now so that we can finance this movie. I've been trying to make this movie for such a long time, and it hit many roadblocks. And now that I'm in New York, it's a New York story. I want to make it. So it's about right now finding investors who are down with the social distribution JusB plan, the self-distribution model that we have, and making this thing. And I'm super excited about it. So that's what's next.
Awesome.
I do have another film called Duke, starring Chandra Hall, and another actor. I don't know if I can say his name. I'm writing it right now, and I'm releasing we did a promo for the short film that we're thinking about doing. I might release it in a few weeks, but I'm writing the feature right now, and that would probably be my next project after that. But I'm writing that feature as I go. But yeah,
Love it.
I also have another film too, but that's a short film called It Just Happened that I'm shopping around, and I want to see who wants to bite. But Happy Sabbath is the main focus right now, of getting that to be the first flagship JusB produced feature film.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I love your content. I love what you're putting out.
Thanks,
You're just putting out gold. I think each one, they're funny little nuanced clips, but it kind of like gets my filmmaking stuff of the day. I got to check in with Steven. What's he got for me today? And checking me out.
Cool, thanks, man.
I got people lying to me. I need to know. I need to know from the truth. So you were, the other video the other day, you were walking on the track with your wife and, going. So I just love the vibe. I love the cadence. I love what you're putting out, man. I love the idea of JusB and the platform, thinking it from the filmmaker's point of view, pulling everybody into it. So I'm here for it. I do hope I appreciate you all listening, watching. Please like, subscribe, comment so Steven and I know that somebody's out there for us. But I do believe we're good to conclude our time with Steven Bennett. Make sure you go check out a site. I'll put those items in the show notes. But otherwise, get out there and make your movie. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for having me, Ron.